Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we are going to be going over the AFL 2022 Premiership race, and I'm going to be going over how likely the Premiership chances for each team in the AFL 2022 season. Now of course, it is starting to come to a bit of an end, so we are starting to find out where teams are at. We know the teams that have no chance, but in this video I'm going to be ranking the teams that have a chance, where they sit on front runner, a chance, maybe tiny outside chance. So those are, and then for the other teams that won't make it, they'll be put in no chance. So let's just go ahead. We'll go ahead and hop right into the Premiership chance for each team towards the end of the year. So let's go ahead, hop right into things. The Adelaide Crows, no chance. Now this year looked alright actually, and it looked like at the start of the year they could have been playing like a top 8 team. But it obviously, like lower teams, that obviously was going to drop off, and did for the Adelaide Crows. And yeah, they're still a fair way away. Their worst is horrible. So yeah, they're still a fair bit away from winning a premiership. Now Brisbane, they are definitely a chance. Now you may be like Flaming Footy, they're a front runner. Well, for me, they're not, because they're going to have to, there's a good chance they'll have to play at the MCG. If they get through the grand final, you have to play at the MCG. Lose a prelim, you might have to, lose a qualifying final, you might have to play at the MCG. Your prelim might have to beat the MCG if you get that far. Your qualifying final. I just feel like if Brisbane have to play at the MCG, the show they've put on against Melbourne was pretty poor. And if they play the same way they did against Richmond later in the year, which is another big test, yeah, their hopes of winning at the MCG are pretty much gone. So Brisbane, I would put them in front runner, but because I feel like they'll have a final at the MCG, that's why I have them as a chance. Now, I'm also going to be putting Carlton in a chance. Now, their season this year has been really good. I thought last year was going to be the season where Carlton were going to make the A, but they need a little bit more to add to their list, and they've done exactly that this year. And they've been playing really well and playing like a top 4 team, really. They have had some inconsistent patches, but most of the time have been pretty good. And I reckon they're a pretty decent chance to win the flag this year. So, yeah, I'm going to be putting them in a chance, though, because some of the front runners are a little bit higher up than Carlton. But, again, I still do see Carlton being a chance. Now, Collingwood, I have them being a maybe. Now, again, you may be like, Flaming Footy, they're a chance to make the top 4. Why are you putting them in maybe? Well, I am putting them in maybe just because they've been okay, but like some of their losses have been poor, like to West Coast. They almost lost to North Melbourne. They lost to Geelong after choking a 37-point lead. So Collingwood, they're there, but like they've got a very young team, and I just feel come finals time, it's just not going to work for them, unfortunately enough. And I just feel like with the amount of teams that will be going at it, and Sydney can be in the same boat as well if you want to put them in there as well. They're a young team, and sometimes when finals, if you're a young team, it can get to you, and then you don't play as well. But I still feel like the Pies are a maybe chance to win the flag, but again, just compared to where other teams are at, I just don't think they'll do it. Now the Bombers, again, they're in no chance. Been showing signs of improvement, but again, we don't really need to talk about them as they're not really directed to be in this video. They're no chance of winning the premiership. They have been on the rise, and the only thing the Bombers can really do now is try and rise up to 13th place on the table and knock out some teams trying to make the top 8. They've got the Power and the Suns to come in a few weeks. They've got the Tigers to play as well. So they can still knock out teams. They can still very well do that. They've got Collingwood, which can have a big impact. So they can, their role, actually, these teams that go in no chance, they've still got a role to play. If they can cause some big upsets and knock out some teams, that would be crucial. So the Bombers play the Suns on Sunday, and if they can get the job done, well, then that's a critical result. Now, the Dockers, for me, I'm going to be putting them in a front runner. Look, the way they played Marvel against the Saints was fantastic. I probably would have had them down in a chance if they had a loss to the Saints on Saturday night. But because the way they played at Marvel is proving to me they can play at any ground and get the job done with ease as well. They did a pretty good job after in that third quarter against the Saints. Now, again, Optus Stadium, I reckon they could be a chance for top 2. Their run home does suggest so. So the Dockers, I reckon there's endless opportunities. They're a really good team, really mature team as well, I reckon. Yes, they've got young players, but yes, they've got some experience as well. I feel like they're a real front runner and a real danger come finals time as well. I feel like they do stand out with a few other teams from the rest of the comp. So now onto the Cats, which again, of course, you knew I was going to put them in another front runner. They are another front runner. The Cats this year could perhaps be Premiership and minor Premiership favourites. Yeah, look, the way they played against the Demons on Thursday night was perfect. They summed it up really well. They played well. And yeah, I reckon if it's not them or the Dockers, if it's not the Demons or the Dockers, it would definitely be the Cats with the minor Premiership. And I think the top 3 is probably set. So now to Gold Coast. They are a tiny outside chance. Now, obviously, they're sitting outside the 8 right now, and you can't win a premiership when you're outside the 8. They are the tiniest of outside chances that you'll possibly see. Now, they can still make the 8, and they can still go all the way. I'm not taking anything away from the teams that will be going in tiny outside chances. It's just that I don't really think they're going to be much of a chance. They're an outside chance to make the 8, let alone win the premiership. Now, how they played against the Tigers was good, and if they can try and, obviously not letting the Tigers get out such a big mark, but the way they played in the last quarter, they didn't go, oh, the game's over, we can't win. They really did try. So now the Giants, they're no chance, as to are the Hawks. Look, again, just really, yeah, the Hawks and the Giants pretty much in the same boat. They've been okay. I feel like the Hawks, we'll go to the Hawks real quick. I feel like the Hawks have been underrated this year. Their wins have come against really quality opponents. They beat Brisbane, they beat the Cats, they beat the Power and North Melbourne as well as Adelaide. So some of their wins on there are pretty decent teams like the Cats, the Lions and the Power. Some teams are really contending for the top 8 or have been regular top 8 teams in the past couple of years. And then Adelaide and North Melbourne, those were pretty simple wins for the Hawks. And then for the Giants, they have been really inconsistent this year as well. You don't really know what week they're going to run out and play well. But yeah, again, no chance. But they've had all right seasons. Now to the Demons, who are, again, another front runner in the Premiership race, minor Premiership race as well. And again, if they do what they did last year during finals time, they'll win the flag again. The burst, the explosiveness of their team is really good, and they can easily go back-to-back. They are a front runner for a premiership for a reason. They've got the perfect list. North Melbourne are no chance. As to a West Coast, the way they've been playing this year hasn't been great. And even though West Coast look on the rise, and North Melbourne maybe even on the rise after last week's strong performance against Collingwood, but again, both these two teams aren't that great and will not win a flag this year. Now to Port Adelaide, tiny outside chance for them as well. Now, they've got, just like the Suns, a lot of heavy lifting to do if they want to make the top 8. Got the Cats and the Demons to come in the next couple of weeks, which are 2 of the Premiership favourites, if you want to say that. So they've got a really big task. If they can win one of those games, they're going to prove to the competition that they are top 8 worthy. But if they drop both those games, their season is officially over. They've got the Demons at Alice Springs, which is neutral ground, so they can win that game. And then the Cats at the Adelaide Oval. So a couple of really big games for them. And yeah, drop one and you'd say your season's over. So they need to win the both. But yeah, I feel like it's going to be pretty hard for the Power. Now on to Richmond, which I'm going to be putting them in a maybe. Now, obviously, they've got to make the top 8 first before they can get going on finals from here. But compared to teams like Gold Coast and Port Adelaide, they're more of a chance than what those two teams are, if you get what I mean, kind of thing. I feel like they'll make the top 8, Richmond. I feel like they'll make the top 8 because they're a strength. They're a really strengthy squad. They've got a lot of strength and know how to play finals. They've been in here a lot. So if they make the 8, I reckon they're an alright chance to win the flag, maybe. But again, compared to teams like the Cats, the Dockers, and the Demons, they probably won't compete. But again, if they win, their finals experience can really do you handy. Now the Saints, Now, I've actually got them sitting in a tiny outside chance, maybe like Flaming Footy. They've got the Dogs, the Tigers, well, they've got the Roos, but you're going to be like, you might be like, well, Flaming Footy, they're going to go equal on points and the Saints might end up sneaking in. Well, I just don't think so. I just feel like the Tigers, if it comes down to Tigers-Saints, the Tigers will get in. Just because the Saints' run home is extremely challenging, and Richmond, their run home is a little bit easier than the Saints. So I feel like the Saints are in real trouble of missing the 8. But if they do get in, they've got a really good squad as well. So if they can get in, they're an outside chance to win the flag. Now the Swans, I'm going to be putting them in a maybe as well. Now, the Swans have just been so inconsistent this year that you don't really know when they're going to pick their game to win. They almost lost to North at the SCG. They lost to the Suns at the SCG. They lost to Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval. But then they've won against the Demons and the Cats. So you really don't know with the Sydney Swans. And I think their inconsistency brings me to a maybe. Otherwise, they had been a little bit more consistent. They could have been up in a chance. But nah, I just feel like their inconsistency does hurt them. And, well, the Western Bulldogs, I'll be putting them in a tiny and outside chance. Now, the Friday night game between the Saints and the Dogs means a lot. The loser, you could say, is probably just about done with their season. So, really big game. Especially if the Dogs happen to lose, then they'll probably be in no chance. Now, I will be doing another one of these when the final series starts. So, make sure when the AFL season ends, get hyped for that. I know you guys love these. I know this is a very original idea. This is actually something that only I've done. Haven't seen anybody else do it, so that's really nice. This is a nice original idea that I actually made up, which is really good. Really nice original idea. I've made up actually a couple of original ideas on the channel, which is really good for me. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos on this channel. So I will be doing one before week 1 of the finals starts of the Premiership favourites. Now, of course, I'll only be including teams that have made the finals, but the finals race is getting interesting, as too is the top 4 race. Really, this is kind of how the 8 will probably end up getting set out, with the Saints, the Doggies, and the Suns and the Power all looking for spots from probably to steal from the Swans and the Tigers. So, really big next, what is it, 5 or 6 weeks to go in the AFL season to see where these teams are going to be sitting at and see how the ladder is going to change. Because, look, it's probably going to change drastically from where we're at now. You guys can let me know your ladder predictions down in the comment section. You guys can let me know what you think of this list. Now, this is my opinion, so you guys can let me know your opinion in the comment section. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of another video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, so then you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. So bye everyone, Flaming Footy out.